But in this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear.
Okay, Scott Pelley. Welcome. It's Tuesday. It's the Neal Larson Show. How are you today? Looking forward to spending time with you because I will be taking some time off. I'll be gone tomorrow. I have a wedding in Utah. I'll be back Thursday, however, for the morning show, but we'll leave that afternoon on what I'm calling Neal and Steve's Excellent Adventure. He and I are, he's actually moving from his family from Anchorage back to Idaho. And I have offered over multiple times and said, if you ever need help moving back from Anchorage, then I'm your guy. Let me help you out. Anyway, he's taking me up on it. So we're actually driving up on the Alcan Highway, and then I'll be driving back solo in a few days. The whole thing is going to take a good week and a half to do it because, well, it just is. That's how many miles it is, and I have coworkers that think I'm absolutely nuts for doing it, but I love road trips. I love miles. You will hear me, as Wi-Fi allows, during this trip, you will hear me checking in with Julie. It won't be the full scope of the morning show every single morning, but you'll hear me from time to time. We've also, with the miracles of modern technology, pre-taped some stuff as well. So you'll hear my voice through this next week. But Julie will be running the show and flying the plane, and she'll have some guest hosts in, and everything is going to be just fine. So I will take pictures, yes. And hopefully I will not be attacked by a grizzly bear. Great, I just sealed my own fate. Yeah. Anyway, how are you today? It is Tuesday. Beautiful day. Beautiful weather yesterday. Got a little bit of outside time. And it looks like we've got just some great, beautiful late May weather here in East Idaho. And we have a really weird news cycle for you today. And nothing majorly big. Although there was a little bit of a reprieve and a pause for the Democrats as the Tapper book is coming out. The hyper focus now, even by people on the left, on the Biden dementia cover-up. And it looks like they've zeroed in on about 5 figures who were very much in the orbit of Joe Biden inside the White House as the ones making the big decisions. And the question is, obviously, when you have a cognitively compromised president, is did they have the authority to make the decisions that they were making? And that's why the auto pen, I think, has become somewhat of a symbol for this whole weird, bizarre phenomenon that we had over the last 4 years prior to Trump's second term. And will anything come of it? It might. I always hold out hope. This obviously can never happen again. If he was that cognitively challenged, then the role is not for unelected, mostly nameless staffers to make the decisions. That authority rests with the cabinet. And we actually have a constitutional amendment that gives the authority right now. Congress actually is the one who designates it, but right now it is the cabinet that would step in and say, our president is not fit to lead. We need to make a change. And that change would involve, I believe, removing the president, elevating the vice to the top position, and then I think the line of succession would play in after that. So, but that didn't happen. All right, we all know that didn't happen. They tried to weekend at Bernie's about probably the last 3/4 of Biden's presidency, and maybe the whole thing to some degree, but it became noticeably bad. And now you have people who are in that Democrat sphere that don't want to go down with this Titanic. So we're seeing that split, and we're seeing that rift happen. Now, I opened the monologue with a clip from Scott Pelley, who, of course, is a 60 Minutes character. I don't want to call him a journalist. I would call him more of a cast member on 60 Minutes, and they play the part of journalists. And he's clearly delivering a message of fear to the graduates of Wake Forest University, which I would say many of them probably are completely on board with him. They may share the Trump derangement syndrome. What did you get a PhD in? I got a PhD in TDS. I mean, they're probably all on board with the fear-mongering speech that Scott Pelley gave. Listen to this.
But in this morning, our sacred rule of law is under attack. Journalism is under attack. Universities are under attack. Freedom of speech is under attack. And insidious fear is reaching through our schools, our businesses, our homes, and into our private thoughts. The fear to speak in America. Power can rewrite history with grotesque, false narratives. They can make criminals.
Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna stop there. I think the melodrama was. Well, I stopped tolerating it at
in America.
That might be a ringtone on my phone at some point. In America. You know what, Scott? All the things you're saying, and I actually unintentionally predicted this in the last year or two of the Biden presidency, where I said the rule of law is going to feel authoritarian to the people who have had no regard for the rule of law. It's going to feel like a vice is squeezing you because you've been operating just with these wide parameters. And keep in mind, Scott Pelley, who I'm assuming he's still with 60 Minutes. He's a cast member for 60 Minutes. I actually like that characterization. I may expand on that and go with that. But 60 Minutes is getting sued by Donald Trump because 60 Minutes committed journalistic malpractice. Now, is Donald Trump going to get $1 billion from CBS News and 60? No, he's not. This is not going to be $1 billion thing. In fact, I will make a prediction right now. I don't know if Trump will even see a penny because they didn't slander Trump. They did help his opponent. But they didn't slander. Now, they may have in other contexts, but when we're talking about just the lawsuit's not about him being slandered, his name being damaged, whatever. But it was a very clear assist to his opponent in thinly veiled as editing, video editing. And really quick, for those who don't remember, Kamala Harris was asked a question. The answer she gave was horrible word salad. It made no sense. It was meandering. It didn't have any real conviction or meat or substance to it. And so in a later part of her answer, they just cut out the part where she tried to answer, and then they made her answer look more concise. They made it look better than it actually was. Now, one thing CBS News has not done, they haven't released the entire unedited tape of that interview with Kamala Harris. They've only released a transcript. But how do we know the transcript is accurate unless we see the whole tape? We don't. That's the answer. We don't know if the transcript is accurate because we haven't seen the whole tape. So that being said, do I think the lawsuit has merit? Probably not. All right, when you look at media law, Donald Trump has been a public figure for a very long time. Well, it's not even a slander or a libel case, so that's out the window. I don't think you can sue someone because they helped your opponent. However, knowing Donald Trump, the reason he does things is often not the stated reason for things. He's doing this to bring attention to how corrupt the left-wing media is. He knows he probably won't win this lawsuit. But because it's in the headline over and over and over again, people understand what 60 Minutes did. And it is a fascinating phenomenon to watch people who engage in this journalistic malpractice to proceed as though they have pristine intentions, that they have operated completely above board, that their profession is worthy of a higher level of respect when they've only acted disrespectfully through all of it. Now, we are seeing something fascinating and hopefully in the end fantastic when it comes to the mainstream media. The legacy media is largely on its way out, and you just feel it. You feel this changeover, but yet the people who are still occupying the space in the legacy media are proceeding as though everything's fine, even though the Titanic has just hit the iceberg and water's rushing into the hull. They're in the dining room continuing to eat filet mignon. And that is ridiculously foolish to do. But there are some who are realizing, okay, this is a big ship and it's going down. Scott Pelley's not one of them. He truly, based on his comments here, truly believes that he still is one of the guardians of American democracy. Yes, I know it's a republic. A guardian of American democracy, and it's under attack in America. And no, Scott, you're not nearly the guardian you think you are. You're not the watchman on the tower you pretend to be. And when Donald Trump comes, in fact, your one job was to tell the truth during the Biden administration about his cognitive decline, about what was happening on the border, real crime statistics about black on black crime, as well as white on white and white on black crime, and just report crime. How about that? How about we not racify it? And I could go on and on and on and cite example after example of how the mainstream media, of which Scott Pelley is a member, failed the American people. And he doesn't like what's happening. He doesn't like the damage that they blame on Trump, but in reality is just self-inflicted. It is Donald Trump that's just saying, you did this to yourself. The media is not under attack by Donald Trump. The First Amendment is certainly not under attack by Donald Trump. The media is suffering the consequences of its own bad behavior, and they don't like it. You know, you look at this whole Jake Tapper book that's coming out. It's impossible to not talk about. All right. Now, I'm not a big fan of Jake Tapper. I think he double dipped. I think that he was part of the problem for a lot of years, and now he wants to cash in on exposing the problem that he was a part of. So it feels kind of disingenuous on his part. But whatever. If the book reveals an important facet of the American media and American history, then okay, I'll take that. They were all in on it. You didn't have to be a member of the media to know what was going on with the Biden administration. All you had to do was watch a press conference. All you had to do was look at real, true, legitimate video of Joe Biden trying to ride a bike or walk up some airplane stairs or stand on a stage and not knowing which way to go and shaking hands with the air behind him. You didn't have to observe the news cycle for very long to look at it and go, there is something deeply wrong here. So I've said this before, and I'll say it again now. We didn't witness a cover-up. They couldn't cover it up. We witnessed a gaslighting operation. we got to sit there and watch what was happening with Joe Biden and then have media pundits tell us, move along, there's nothing to see here. Everything's fine. This is the best Biden ever. So, in a sense, by characterizing it as a cover-up is part of that gaslighting operation. It wasn't. They were just lying. They were trying to make, and sadly, there was a big enough part of the American public, and I don't know if it's a Stockholm Syndrome thing. I'm not sure what it is. But there was a big enough portion of the American public that would set aside their own common sense, what they could see with their own eyes and hear with their own ears, and say, oh, everything must be fine because Joe Scarborough said it is. This must be the best Joe Biden ever because Joe Scarborough said it is. And I could, numerous examples of media pundits insisting that everything was fine with the Biden presidency. And when it all comes crashing down, that is not Trump's fault. This is the house of cards they built, not Donald Trump. We'll be back. It's 8:24 on this Tuesday on News Talk 107.9. It's 8:29 on News Talk 107.9. On a Tuesday, Neal Larson, along with Julie Mason.
In America. In America.
Oh, Scott Pelley.
In America.
In
man.
America.
Come on. That's just bad acting. I'm sorry. That's just bad acting.
What is Hispanic soap operas are the epitome of bad acting, right? It's purposely over the top. It's designed to be that way.
Melodramatic. Yeah.
Yes, very melodramatic.
Yeah.
He should audition for a part on one of those.
Yeah, he should. Yeah, it is so bad.
In America. In America.
No.
I would just like to ask the listeners, by raise of hands, who is terrified, shaking inside their homes right now, as with the way that Scott Pelley is painting a picture of what America is like.
Yeah.
No one is, by the way. No one.
No, they're not. I do think there are people that are living in fear, but not because of Scott Pelley's speech. I think they live in fear. They truly believe that Donald Trump is on a trajectory to be a dictator, that we're headed for tyranny, authoritarianism, whatever the case may be. And we're not. I mean, he's not. He's going to be the president till God willing, he's going to be the president until 2028. Well, 2029 till January of 2029. And then it'll be J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio. But Donald... But you know what, though? The pace at which the Democrats are moving, they may not see the White House again for another 12 years.
Trump has accomplished more. I know we're way past his first 100-day celebration. We talked about that 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But Trump accomplished more in his first 100 days than Biden even came close to accomplishing in 4 years.
Oh, yeah.
The man wasn't even working. By the way, two things I wanted to point out that I saw on social media last night. Trump went golfing over the weekend, on a holiday weekend.
And they had a freak out over
They
it?
had a freak out.
Okay.
The country is in danger and he's taking time off. I want to remind everybody, Biden took the most vacation days of any president that's ever existed. Okay?
Yeah, okay.
Secondly, I made a call yesterday. I said, while we were watching the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and Trump laying a wreath there to celebrate Memorial Day, and then he gave his remarks that someone, people on the left are going to freak out and say that he did something wrong or something was outrageous or whatever.
Yeah.
Guess what I found last night?
Well, what?
People on the left having a problem with the way that Trump was saluting alongside Pete Hegseth and J.D. Vance. They said he doesn't have the right to. If you actually examine the codes, he doesn't have the right to do that because he didn't serve. So that was one problem. I saw somebody on the left saying that he stumbled through that laying of the wreath. Did you feel like he stumbled
No,
at all?
I thought it was fine. Like
He didn't do anything wrong.
Wait, can I go back to the other one? Mm-hmm. He is the commander-in-chief.
Exactly. They're interpreting code, and they're saying that no commander-in-chief should ever do that, and it was despicable that Trump saluted.
They're like, that should never happen.
In America.
I'm going to use that a lot.
That needs to stay on a button bar somewhere.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, we're gonna make that instantly accessible every day. Yeah. But okay,
I just knew they would. Their playbook is so well used and worn. We know what they're going to do now. There's always going to be a racism card that's played if there's an opportunity, and even if there isn't an opportunity, they'll shove that square peg into the round hole. They'll make sure it happens. Yeah. They're always going to try to make Trump look bad in whatever way possible, even if they have to outright lie about it.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the reverse of this, which is they always had to make Biden look good, even if they had to lie about it.
Okay, I just asked, is the commander-in-chief allowed to salute instantly? Yes, the president of the United States, as the commander-in-chief, can salute members of the military. While not explicitly required by law or regulation, the practice has become increasingly common, particularly during ceremonies, arrivals, and departures.
So there was a ceremony yesterday, standing there on military sacred ground.
Yeah.
And he did something wrong.
But, Julie, well, if they want something to be true, they just assert that it's true.
They just make it up.
They just make it up. Comey's a great example about the elements inside the FBI that are white supremacists. The Republican FBI agents are white supremacists. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And that previous to that it was the biggest terror threat. All of it. That was the best Biden we've ever had. That the Inflation Reduction Act was going to save America. Has done nothing. In fact, we have many, many, many millions of dollars unaccounted for currently with the Inflation Reduction Act. That was Biden's one big celebratory movement during his 4 years, and we have millions of dollars unaccounted for.
Yeah. And you know what? We could not have anticipated that would have happened.
Not with the Biden crime family. Who would have thought? You
pass trillions of dollars in additional spending that not every penny of it is going to be well accounted for. We never, we've been able to trust the federal government with every single penny over the years. This was just
that's really why Elon is stepping away. There just wasn't any fraud to be found.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? I will kind of say, I kind of miss Elon's presence as much because it was triggering the left so badly. I kind of miss that.
They hated him. Well, they still do. But
they still do, but it was this daily reminder. I love how he walked around wearing the black Trump hat. Like, that was just great. So now I have the hiccups. Trump gave me the hiccups.
It's all his fault. In America.
Wait. No, hold on. Trump gave me the hiccups.
In America.
Who takes themselves that seriously?
No, you breaking the board over there?
Kind of, but I fixed it.
Did you fix it?
So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Jake Tapper. This was an interesting clip here.
And I think that we need to be skeptical of everything that we are told by people in power. And I mean, that obviously should be the mantra of being a journalist to begin with. If your mother tells you she loves you, get a second source. Right. But we just need to remember that. Like, politicians lie. White Houses lie. Power is an aphrodisiac. And we just need to all remember that.
Okay. Isn't this exactly what the framers told us a quarter of a millennium ago? And that's why they gave us the Second Amendment, or the First Amendment, excuse me. They didn't give us the First Amendment. They recognized our inherent right of expression and the press and to find out the truth. This is not a new idea from Jake Tapper. Like, I find this fascinating that he says that politicians lie. No, you don't say, Jake.
Well, and think about the trajectory of his career. Clearly, he got a 4-year degree somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more education behind him. So I don't think that really means anything of whether or not you're a good journalist or not, but we'll recognize what he did. So he got an education. That didn't enlighten him. He worked his way up the ranks on one of the biggest networks in a primetime show. That didn't enlighten him. But all of a sudden, he writes a book and the heavens have opened. Oh, this is how a journalist is supposed to behave.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? Years ago, I think it was Newsweek, maybe Time. I don't remember. It was one of those weekly periodical magazines. And the headline was something very close to this. It said, and keep in mind, millions of dollars were spent on a study. And their conclusion was, it's true. Men and women really are different. And I kind of feel the same way. Here's Jake Tapper coming along. He's been in this business a long time. Uh-huh. And you're right. I'm sure he's got multiple degrees and certainly one degree. And he's saying, it's really true. Politicians are not always honest with us.
And we have to recognize that.
We do need to recognize that. Thank you for your novel warning, Jake.
Yeah, that enlightenment that came all of a sudden.
Yes.
That knowledge all of a sudden when I write a book.
Yes.
I have finally figured it out.
Yeah.
Ugh.
No, Sherlock. We've known that all along.
But you know what? These people on the left, the sycophants on the left are like, oh, Jake, you're such a humble man. Yes, we had some problems, but you were fighting the fight, and that's the important part.
Well, here's the thing, too, and this is why I'm struggling. I guess there's part of me that says kudos to Jake Tapper because, look, he's going to cash in on this book. If he wasn't going to make millions on this book, he wouldn't have written it. Mm-hmm. Like, he saw an opportunity, and he's taken it. Okay, whatever. That's America, and that's what you do. The problem is, I don't think he really has the moral authority because he went after Lara Trump and characterized her attacking Joe Biden for having a stutter, when in reality, Joe Biden's cognitive abilities were just mincemeat. Like his brain was falling apart. He couldn't put sentences together. He couldn't put ideas together. Lara Trump was being obvious about it. And he got angry because he wanted to prop up the fact that, well, politicians lie. Mm-hmm. The White House narrative was, well, President Biden has had a stutter that he's struggled with. Jake, you didn't view that with any scrutiny back then. You just parroted the lie that either Peppermint Patty or Corinne Jean-Pierre gave to you, this narrative that, these problems that Joe's having, that's just a stutter. Anybody with two brain cells, Julie, could know, no, there's more going on here. A stutter doesn't make you fall over on your bike. A stutter doesn't make you fall up the stairs. A stutter doesn't make you turn around and shake hands with the air on the stage.
Pause in a half crouch position and just hold that for a minute going, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, that stutter caused that.
That's not a stutter, Jake. And you had to have known that. But instead, I think you went after Lara Trump mostly because of her last name. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't handle that. So you're part of this. So I don't know. You're kind of a Johnny come lately or a Jake come lately in telling us that, well, politicians lie. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating to have him say that when that's been a universal truth since the beginning of time, that politicians don't tell the truth all the time.
And like I said yesterday, 20% of the country is going to believe him no matter what. That 80-20 rule that we just throw out there references, there's about 20% of the country that can be buffaloed into anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's 8:41. Should we break? Mm-hmm. All right. We'll take a break. We'll be back after this. 208-542-1079. It's a Tuesday edition of the Neal Larson Show.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey, it's Brad from Now 105.1 and QP99. I'm in the studio here. I love our studios, by the way. Ranger Rick back there. There's Neal and Julie doing their thing. Hey, when you want to advertise on the radio, what do? You call the radio station, right? But what do you do when you want to advertise on Facebook and Instagram and Hulu and Disney Plus and Peacock and the other TV streaming services? You can kind of click around on them and make guesses or read books or take courses online on how to do that advertising. Or you could call us at the radio station. At Sandhill Media, we take care of your local radio and digital marketing. So reach out to us at sandhillmediagroup.com and we'll make sure that your message gets heard and seen. wherever your customers are.
All right, 8:47 on News Talk 107.9. Julie, I want to ask a generic question to the liberal ether. Can I ask a question to the liberal ether? What is it about us loving America that makes you feel so oppressed?
Sure. I think that's a fair question. I can only go to a couple of our trolls that we hear from them all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I would think that they would say, well, we're being led by a felon. That's their favorite phrase now. So let's review that for just a second. What did that accomplish? We know that they tried all different kinds of lawsuits against Donald Trump.
Yeah.
The only one that was successful was that one where they tagged him with 34 felonies that were actually misdemeanors, and they had to change the law.
Yes.
To get them to be felonies.
Yeah.
Okay. The one thing they did accomplish with that is the ability to say he's a felon. And they fall back on that all the time.
So let me ask a follow-up question, because I'm a always question the premise kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that actually backfired, that it actually helped Trump because that word felon attached to him became a symbol of the weaponization of government against him?
I absolutely think it helped Trump, but I think those people are so dense that that's the argument they still go to.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. I remember. Do you remember that day when? I'm sure you do. And I have to give credit to a different listener, because we were sharing some of the stuff this troll was throwing our way. And they said, remember, Jesus was a felon.
Yeah.
So we threw that back at the troll. Holy moly, they got triggered.
Yeah, they lost their shiz.
That was fun to watch. Mm-hmm. I gotta say. But
to answer your question, I think that that's one thing that they fall back on. You know, I think another thing that they fall back on that really has no merit at this point is that, well, the Republican Party is racist. There's no proof of that.
There's no evidence of that.
Yes. I already mentioned that Trump is up even higher in favorability with Hispanics. Yeah. Like, if he was racist, that number wouldn't be growing.
And the black community voted in higher than historic numbers for Republicans, too. You're right. These are all narrative. And you know what? They are narrative shopping. And this is what they do when they are out of power and they cannot find a cohesive message to be unified around. They start throwing out stuff, and they try to see what sticks. It's really disappointing to see James Comey try to go down the white supremacist route. Mm-hmm. Been there, done that, James. You guys
it's old news.
You guys already tried that a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. Tried to label us all as white supremacists, and it didn't work then. It certainly isn't going to work now, and it certainly isn't going to work coming out of your mouth of all mouths.
Right?
Nobody believes what you say. Agreed.
I don't see any value in the pathway that they continue to walk, but they're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep. Comey, for instance, is going to use white supremacist. We're going to hear the racist, mantra. We're going to hear the felon mantra. It's not helping you. What you really need is some new leadership, and you're struggling. You're drowning.
Yeah,
actually, in the shallowest pool, you're drowning.
And this is self-canceling. But what the Democrat Party needs to thrive is to have completely different people. Mm-hmm. That they can't be led by people like Jasmine Crockett and James Comey. And you can list them off. Right now, America views these people as a bunch of yahoos. And it's also an interesting phenomenon, Julie. Miserable people hate it when other people are happy and when other people are succeeding and other people are... You look at Trump's first 3 to 4 months here as president, and now we're 4+ months in. The amount of accomplishment that we have and the movement that we've seen on trade, the feverish pace that he has been moving forward on these issues. In fact, was it you that was telling me the Panama Canal thing is all done? That's all in alignment now. Mm-hmm. That's an accomplishment that is now in the rearview mirror. We're now back in control of that, and China's out. Mm-hmm. There was no big celebration of that. The media's, Yeah, the media is going to have a celebration of that, just like they celebrated Idaho's first Hispanic attorney general 2 or 3 years ago.
Didn't the Statesman hold a big party for
Oh,
that?
yeah. Weren't you there?
Yeah. Well, we were on this side of the state, so we got the invitation, but we had to say, sorry, we've got a radio show to do. But they had quite the fiesta.
Yeah. You know what journalists do when that kind of thing happens, when you have historic things happen that they don't like and it doesn't benefit them? They quietly grumble and they go, damn it. That's what they do.
That's what they do.
They're frustrated that this accomplishment happened, but they're not the ones getting the credit for it.
A few minutes ago, you said agenda shopping. That's not on their shopping list. Accomplishments can't be put on the shopping list. So their stories have to be driven by their agenda shopping list. Accomplishments aren't going to be on that.
Yeah. All right. It's 8:53 on News Talk 107.9. If you'd like to join us, the Stones Automotive Group call and text line is 208-542-1073. 79, excuse me.
In America.
All right, we're back. It's 8:57 on News Talk 107.9. And if you'd like to reach us, the number 208-542-1079. That's the Stones Automotive Group call and text line. Why did I say 107.3? Like going to break last hour.
I don't know.
Or last segment.
I don't know. Both of us are a little distracted today.
Well, yes, we kind
We're
of are.
both we're suffering from it. I don't know if there's...
I think you're too eager to have me not here.
Is that what it is?
That's what
I don't
it is.
think
You're
that's
like,
what it is.
I want to get rid of that guy.
I was going to blame it on the fact that the studio is so hot, but my big mistake this morning didn't even happen in the studio, so it can't be that.
That's true. So I did ask Chat. You know what? I have mixed feelings about ChatGPT, but I did ask it, do you have any record at all of the media celebrating the fact that Idaho elected its first Hispanic attorney general? Mm-hmm. Yes, Raul Labrador made history as Idaho's first Hispanic attorney general when he was elected in November 2022. However, media coverage of this milestone was relatively subdued.
Really? We hadn't noticed.
We didn't even know. Really? Okay. They did say that Labrador himself downplayed the significance of his ethnicity in the election, stating that voters chose him based on his qualifications rather than his heritage. So apparently that gave the media a pass to ignore it. They could quit caring about race.
Yeah,
so.
merit only matters sometimes.
Yeah, right. All right, hour 2 coming up. 9:07 on News Talk 107.9. If you'd like to join us, 208-542-1079. And that's the number to call. I still have no takers, Julie, from the ethereal left answering, why do you feel oppressed when we love America so much?
I don't want to be a pessimist, but I don't think you're going to get one.
You don't think so? You're probably right. And if the truth be told, I didn't really expect one either.
I'm glad you didn't put your expectations too high.
Yeah, no, that's true. Anyway, someone said, Neal, you need to say in America, like you say Orofino, based on...
In America.
Okay, let's hear it. Do it.
Well, I have to clear the throat because that helps you get... Hold on.
Okay. My mic was still on and they heard that, so go right ahead.
In America.
Pretty good.
That's okay.
I think it needs a little work, but you're close. You're getting there.
In America.
Better the second time.
No, that was like Sam Elliott. In America. Beef, it's what's for dinner. All right, let's go to the phones. 208-542-1079. Caller, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good morning.
Hi.
Just interested in your comments about Raul Labrador not getting a lot of news about him being first Hispanic Attorney General.
Yeah.
I wonder how that would compare to what Larry Echohawk got when he became the first Indian Attorney General.
That's a really good question. In fact, the nice thing is we can do a deep dive and we can actually find media reports from when Larry Echohawk was elected as Attorney General. So that'll be my next project.
The difference is he was a Democrat and Labrador's a Republican. So
yeah, very much so.
All right, I thought that was a little interesting comparison.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
good memory.
Yeah, that is a good memory and good side by side. So I'll do a little research on this. Now, I want to make something very clear, because I remember when we were interviewing Raul Labrador when he was running for Attorney General, I brought this issue up that, it was clear he was going to win. Because if you remember, he trounced Lawrence Wasden. And then he went on
Said with a little bit of glee in your voice.
No, it's factual. All right. It's just a factual result. And then he went on to defeat Tom Arkush. Mm-hmm. This was the 2022, I guess it was, November of 2022. So we knew he was going to be the Attorney General. And I remember asking him the question, something about, are you looking forward to and obviously it was sarcastic because I was asking it. Are you looking forward to the big celebration that the media and the Democrat Party is going to hold for you being the first Hispanic Attorney General? And I could tell he was a little uncomfortable with the answer. He doesn't really want to be remembered as the first Hispanic Attorney General because in our culture, that demographic barrier overshadows your merit, your real accomplishment, your qualifications. And I think he wants to be remembered for his skill as Attorney General, for what he did for Idaho as Attorney General. And he's proud of his Hispanic heritage, but that's a side note. That's an asterisk. That's not the headline, that's the asterisk. My point in bringing it up is to point out the media hypocrisy, because they actually subdue merit to these demographic barriers that get broken when one of theirs breaks the demographic barrier. Mm-hmm. But have you seen any, in fact, I didn't even know this until about a month ago. Scott Bessent is gay.
Yeah,
the Treasury Secretary.
They didn't make it a highlight of his a nomination or his appointment.
No.
It was never talked about.
It didn't matter because guess what? It didn't matter.
Plus, he's killing it.
He's doing a fantastic job as Treasury Secretary, which completely proves our point. Merit is what matters. We don't care about other demographic characteristics of your life. We care if you can do the job and to do it well. That's what Trump cares about. And that's what Scott Bessent is doing. Nobody cares who he's in love with or, who he's with. We care about the job he's doing as Treasury Secretary. And as you said, he's doing a wonderful job of it. Mm-hmm. And so.
But when merit did matter?
When?
With Pete Hegseth. Because all of a sudden, he's not qualified. He's not qualified. He's a news personality. He's a Fox News personality. That's the only thing they would mention about his background. So all of a sudden, it matters. Merit matters. Qualifications matter when they want to make a big deal of it.
It's very selective. You're right. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter when Pete Buttigieg became the Transportation Secretary. He was the mayor of, what town was it? I forget. He couldn't even get the potholes fixed in his own town. But because he broke a demographic barrier, because it was probably the incentive to get him out of the presidential race, I'll put you in the cabinet if you'll exit. Mm-hmm. So he exited and thought, okay, I'll go be in the cabinet for 4 years, which he was.
Take 8 weeks off.
Minus 2 months for Chasten and the boys for that early vacation he took. But, for the most part, it was 46 months of him serving as. But we just view it very, very differently. And like I look at Pete Hegseth. He's a TV personality. He is way more qualified to be a defense secretary than Pete Buttigieg was to be a transportation secretary.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
But so
yeah.
I hope this. I think it's one of the reasons for the Democrat explosion was this elevation of demographics above merit. Mm-hmm. Americans are tired of that. Get people that can do the job. They did that with Joe Biden. They did it with Karine Jean-Pierre. They did it with so many of the cabinet officials. You look at the job Lloyd Austin did as defense secretary. Like, you can go, you see this pattern over and over and over again, and they think, well, it'll turn out okay. Do they think that? Do they okay, we're going to elevate this person because they're a lesbian. We're going to elevate this person because they're black. Or we're going to elevate this person, whatever reason they do it. Is there anything in the back of their mind that goes, and we hope everything turns out okay?
Wrong. Yeah. I don't think so. I think they're that lacking in humility that and so bought in. I just don't think so. I don't think that they go that direction. They should, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, the overused analogy is you don't care what color of skin, what religious background, none of it. What your heart surgeon, what their demographics are.
Don't care.
You care they're a good heart surgeon. That's it.
Yep.
That's the bottom line. It's overused. We've said it a million times, but that's America's belief. Again, we're back to the 80-20.
Yeah.
20% do care. Oh, it does matter if it's a female. It really does. I don't care if she's not the best pilot. We need to elevate females into pilot positions. And it's okay if, lives are in danger. That's fine.
That's okay. We'll accept that because she's a pilot now.
We'll turn away highly qualified white men for air traffic controllers because it matters that we have diversity.
And I would bet you, we look at it, we're horrified. You put somebody not ready for that job into that job because you were breaking a demographic barrier. I think they would probably say, well, that's just the cost of doing business. Mm-hmm. Like that's just part of this, it's still worth it because we need to be breaking these barriers.
Yeah, I believe they would say that.
Yeah, yeah. Sadly, I've come to know them better. That's what they would say.
I feel like all of my hopes and dreams are being doused in this conversation.
Julie, do you remember when I interviewed some environmentalist tree-hugging dude, and this was about the time that grizzly bears were becoming more prevalent, and they were against something. And I'm like, you're going to endanger people. They're going to get attacked by grizzly bear. And we've seen more grizzly bear attacks in recent years. Do you remember his response when he said, well, what a glorious way to die?
Yeah. Yep.
And instantly you are a moron.
Yeah.
Kicked in.
Yeah.
Like they think that's okay. We don't care if people die because we're accomplishing something as part of our agenda, and dying in the name of that is a worthy way to go. Being
a martyr.
Yeah.
For grizzly bears.
Yes.
Elevates you.
Yeah.
You've reached godlike status.
Yeah.
For him.
Which is, if you're the son of the guy who gets attacked and killed by a grizzly bear, I think you'd say, no, I think I want my dad back.
I'd rather have my dad here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. 917-208-542-1079. If you'd like to join us on the program.
In America.
Then you can. We'd love to have you be a part of it today.
Yeah. What else is happening?
Well, we played the Joy Behar thing. You had J.D. Vance. I don't want to play. We don't really have enough time to play the entire Pete Hegseth speech, but I think you might play some of that tomorrow.
I might play it tomorrow. It is a great speech that he delivered in the following up remarks after laying the wreath on the unknown soldier's tomb. So,
but here's Vice President Vance, and he talked about how cautious we need to be sending our young people into war.
The very best way to honor the fallen is to only ask the next generation to make the ultimate sacrifice when they absolutely must. We must be cautious in sending our people to war. The very best way to...
I put it on loop for In America, and it started again.
Started that, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a great stance from a vice president. That are we, on Memorial Day, are we willing to pay a price? You bet.
Mm-hmm.
Should we do everything to be strong enough so that we don't have to pay that price? Absolutely.
Yes.
And we weren't doing that over the last 4 years. We were not making America strong. We were not causing pause and potentially fear in terrorists' minds.
Yeah.
They've been allowed to do whatever they wanted to do. And now Hegseth, J.D. Vance, Trump, they have to come in and clean up the stinking mess.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they do. And it is a mess. It is a mess. So you'll play that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We also have this. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I think that, what is Macron's first name?
President?
Emmanuel. Emmanuel Macron. Maybe a victim of spousal abuse.
You guys, if you haven't seen this video, you have got to watch it.
He gets shoved in the face by his spouse.
Yeah. So they're at the top. Let me paint the picture for you. They're on an airliner.
Yeah.
Probably his private jet, whatever it's called. And you can see him through the door that they're about to exit. All of a sudden, a hand comes up and just shoves him in the face.
Yeah.
The look on his face instantly is like one of, we're about to brawl. But then he realizes where he's standing.
Cameras are on him.
Cameras are on him.
Yeah.
The politician face switches. It comes on. He does this polite. I don't know if you saw the screenshot later on, though. Right after they come out, they exit on the stairs, and then they stand in front of the airline stairs doing a photo op. The hand that is furthest away from his wife is clenched tightly in a fist.
Yeah.
As tight as it possibly can be.
I did not see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I promise this was not a little love tease. That's what they tried to play it off, that it was a love tease.
Yeah, no. Anyway, CNN reported it this way.
French President Emmanuel Macron's office is trying to downplay video that apparently shows his wife, Brigitte, shoving his face. The video was taken early this morning as the two were preparing to leave a plane in Vietnam, the first stop for Macron's tour of Southeast Asia. A source with the president's office dismissed the video, telling CNN it was a moment of togetherness and that the president and his wife were unwinding and playfully teasing each other.
Moment of tenderness. Look, we're not stupid. I know CNN is just reporting what they said, so I'm not going after CNN here. But this is Joe Biden's administration all over again. Everything's fine. There's nothing to see here. That thing you saw you didn't see that thing you saw.
All you got to do is look at his face in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
Just stop it right after. Stop the video right after he gets shoved.
Yeah.
That is not a playful love tease.
No, his reaction is not one of being playful. And I noticed that first too. And then the awkward way his face changed when he saw the cameras. I'm like, no, that wasn't just being playful.
How many years older than him is she?
She's like his grandma.
Yeah, there's a big difference, and she was his teacher, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm exaggerating, but yeah, she's like 15 years older than him.
It's crazy.
What kind of?
I don't want.
What kind of thing is going on?
How messed up it all is.
Like,
I don't even want to know.
Like that, she's clearly wearing a wig, right?
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
There's a lot of speculation about her gender.
Yes.
Now, we're not participating in the. We're not on the air participating in the speculation.
I might have asked earlier, though, off air, if there was some male pattern baldness going on.
We might be, but what happens off the air stays off the air.
Not just now, it didn't.
Not now. 922 208 542 1079. We'll be back after this.
In America.
I only did that to make Julie laugh.
It was good. It was good. Okay, alleviate some fears for me.
Okay.
Do you at least have one can with gas?
Yes, I told Steve. I said I have a 5-gallon tank of gas. Let's just throw that in. He's like, okay, we'll do that. So
okay.
Just so we have something.
Well, that'll get you probably what? You're probably getting 12 miles to the gallon pulling a trailer?
Yeah, so that might get us
60 miles?
60, 70 miles.
Okay.
But he said it's very manageable. Like when you're going to, you just have to just make sure you're gassed up. Like know where you're headed and how far you are until the next one. So
Okay.
I think we're okay. But yes, I will have a gas can.
Okay. Good. And you've got food.
Yeah, well, we will have food.
You're going to stop and get food.
You know what he told me? That when you cross the border, they will not let you take any produce across the border. Because this,
Well, that video I sent you, they ask.
Yeah. And he told me that a couple of weeks ago. So that, and we should tell our audience about that video. But so we'll just have basic snacks to get up to northern Montana for Thursday night. And then once we cross in, we'll stop in, I don't know if we're crossing over by Cardston or Lethbridge or not really sure yet. We'll just stop at a store there and get food to eat for on the way. So
Good.
Yeah.
It'll be more expensive, but good job.
I will say, Julie, part of Julie's, I don't know what the word is here. She's worried about us not having hotels. Like we haven't planned our night stays where we're going. But it is a little bit hard to plan going through because we are traveling so many miles. We're going to try to just keep pushing, and we'll take turns driving and do all of that. So we didn't want to bind ourselves to have to stop. If we're ahead of schedule, we just want to keep going. Plus, we've got a 16-foot trailer that we're pulling. We'll have blow-up mattresses we can sleep in. So we have places to sleep. The wilderness is our restroom, if necessary. There are... So
I just want the video of you running away from the bear with your pants around your ankles. That's it. That's got to be memorialized somehow.
Okay, I'll try to catch that on video. So I'll try to catch that happening to Steve on video.
It is different to think of a road trip as a female than a male.
Oh, very much so. Like, I totally understand why Julie...
Why I have so much trepidation for you.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, it just doesn't bother guys that much. Like, we'll just stop and sleep, and as long as we have gas in the tank and can keep going down the road, we're okay. I do think, though, it's probably going to take us about 4 days to get up there. That's my hunch. And I am insisting that we do stop and grab a hotel, if not just for the showers. I don't know if we'll have truck stop showers or whatever. So,
So that would not put you there. You think you're going to get there Monday night?
I don't know. Here's what I don't understand. Steve on the phone said last night it's about 70 hours. But if you look at, I don't know if that's time driving, like you're actually moving in the vehicle for 70 hours, or once we start, it's going to take 70 hours to get there. So I don't really know what that 70 hours means. Like, anyway, we got to go back on. 9:27 on News Talk 107.9. I'm telling Julie about the epic road trip I'm about to embark on to Alaska. And I see a slight look of disapproval from Julie.
Oh, no, you guys go. You do it. You're going to make some memories.
Yeah.
That just doesn't sound awesome to me to sleep on a blow-up mattress in the back of a trailer, but you do you.
Yeah, see, I'm good. I was just telling her, I don't know how long it's going to take to get up there. Where I'm planning, I think if you're alone in a sedan and you can move faster, I think it takes at least 2.5 to 3 days because actual driving time, it's like 46 hours. So if you drive for 14 hours a day, you can probably do it in 2.5 days. But we're pulling a 16-foot trailer behind a pickup, and so I don't know exactly what to plan for. But I did, and this is what I said. I do think we're going to need to stop at a hotel, just to have showers and a decent bed at least once on the way up. So, and we'll take turns driving. We'll do that.
Right.
But just for the smell inside the cab of that truck, we need to stop and shower once.
I hope so.
Lots of deodorant.
Why are there 4 little tree air fresheners hanging from the rearview mirror? There was only one when we started. Yeah. We had to pick up 3 more.
That's true. That's true. I did see, we got a text earlier this morning when I mentioned it in the monologue. One of the listeners said they did this road trip a few years ago. And they said, I will absolutely love it, and it will be an unforgettable experience.
Oh, I think it's going to be totally unforgettable.
Yeah.
But for lots of reasons. You're going to love it for lots of reasons, and then there are going to be parts that you're going to be like, oh, that was a little bit like childbirth.
Maybe so. I hope it's not that bad, but we'll see. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. You will, by the way, you will hear me. I'm actually leaving Thursday for that. I'll be gone tomorrow for a wedding in Utah, but I'll be back Thursday morning, and then we're leaving Thursday afternoon. You will hear me on the air. We've pre-recorded some stuff, and I'll be checking in here and there as Wi-Fi availability allows. Mm-hmm. So,
yes, it'll be good.
And Julie's going to do great.
Lined up some fun guests. It's going to be nice.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be good. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I just think the audience needs a break from me once in a while. I can be a little much sometimes. So you'll get your break from me.
We're going to have, that's not the point, Paul, on one of the days. How many times am I going to say that to him just because he's in studio?
I don't know, but we could probably go back and find that audio from that school board meeting, and we could just put that right alongside.
This is an old place.
Oh, I had the wrong clip queued up. Wrong one. Anyway, we could have it there. I got to redeem myself.
In America.
That's not the point, Paul.
That's not the point, Paul. Yeah. I wonder how many times. You should ask him this question. Because we really did make that meme for him. I mean, sort of. It
in
originated,
reference to him.
Yeah, but we elevated the recognition of it. How many people say to him, that's not the point, Paul?
Yeah, I'll ask him. Yeah, that'll be fun to find out.
Yeah. So, all right. Clay Travis is challenging Angel Reese to a game of one-on-one, and he says so far she's not responding to it.
She's like, big no. What do you think?
Well, and I'll play the clip here in a minute. It's just a little over a minute long. He's 6 feet tall, 183 pounds. She's 6'3" and 160-ish pounds. Actively playing basketball every day. If I look at that, I think she has a chance to beat him. I just don't know that she wants to take it up. Like because she's very liberal. He's a conservative voice. But
that has criticized her a lot.
Yeah, and he said he'll give her $100,000 to play one-on-one to 15 points.
What is her yearly salary with the WNBA?
I don't know. That's a good question. I would imagine 100,000 is a chunk because they don't.
Yeah, they don't make a lot of money, so that might be a really nice payday for her.
$75,000.
Yes, so it's bigger than her yearly salary.
Yeah, she has a 4-year contract with the Chicago Sky for $324,000 and change, and her rookie salary is listed at $74,909. So
there are teachers that make more money than that.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, just let that settle in.
She does get endorsement deals for sure. So.
But let that settle in about the level of, like, what a big deal they think they are.
Yeah.
And you're making $74,000 a year because your league can't pay you more than that because you're not making any money.
Yeah. It just doesn't put butts in seats the way the NBA does. So here's what Clay Travis said. Hold on 1 second here.
Speaking of Angel Reese, truly awful at basketball offensively. Angel Reese's rebounds are almost all just her own misses. She cannot shoot, which is why, and maybe I'm wrong about this, I publicly challenged Angel Reese to a one-on-one game to 15. 1-point baskets, 2-point baskets, half court. Got to go back to the 3-point line. $100,000 from me if Angel Reese can beat me head-to-head. I am 6 foot, 100. I weighed 183 pounds this morning. I am 46 years old. Angel Reese is 23 years old, I believe, and listed at 6'3", 165. So I'm 20 pounds-ish heavier than her, 3 inches shorter than her. 65% of you said I would win this game to 15. Here's what I think I would have to do. I don't think she can shoot from outside. I'm not an awful outside shooter. I could only play one game, couldn't go best 2 out of 3. I'm okay handling the basketball. I have all sorts of creaky tendons. I have weak ankles. Every single body movement that I have at this point, I got to stretch a lot. I got to get loose. And even then, I don't have a lot of juice left in the tank. But I think that I could beat her on a race to 15. So I challenged her $100K, and we put it on pay-per-view. I think we could raise millions of dollars for charity.
Okay. Your thoughts. Do you think he'd beat Angel Reese?
He is right that she's not very good offensively.
Yeah.
Like, if you watch her throw up the basketball, there's very little grace that goes along with it. So his criticism of her offensive game is valid. So he's got that, plus the fact they're not playing full court and only to 15. So we don't have a long duration of a game here, and you're not running full court.
Yeah.
I think he's right. If he could beat her on the outside on shots, he would probably win. It's still a risk.
I think it is a risk because, I mean, obviously she's pretty good defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Because what would she offer if she is terrible offensively, but she's got 3 inches on him.
Mm-hmm. Long arms.
So even with an outside game, she's going to be able to, she wouldn't block every shot, but I think she'd pose an obstacle.
Did he play in college?
I don't know his history with that. I don't know.
But that would help me determine how good of a basketball player is he. Did he play just on his high school team? And how big was his high school? I would love to know that. Did he play in college? That would help me make my decision a little bit more on whether or not he can, dust off the cobwebs and actually make a go at this.
No, it says he worked as a student basketball manager at George Washington University. Then he went on and graduated from Vanderbilt Law School in 2004. So I don't think he ever played college basketball. Maybe he played high school, but no, not college. So I'd watch it. I'd be interested.
Oh, I'd watch it.
Because just
100%.
The physicality differences. I mean, he outweighs her 20 pounds, and she's 3 inches taller than him. I mean, who... You would have to. Plus, I think she's half his age. She's 23 years old. So he's going to get winded after a little while.
Yeah, he is going to get winded. I don't know. I think it would be a tight game. I wouldn't put 100,000 on it. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, if I were him, I wouldn't either. You also have to consider that she misses a lot of shots, but she's trying to shoot against 2 or 3 other 6 foot plus women right up in her face. She's got 3 inches on Clay Travis. So she might be able to lay it in against him pretty easily if without the same kind of defense that she'd have in the WNBA.
The other thing I'd like to know is 2 things. Is Clay Travis being honest about his height? Is he really 6 foot?
Yeah.
Because, people like to say they're taller than what they actually are. And that is very common in WNBA and NBA stats, to pad your stat just a little bit. So is she really 6'3"? Is she more like 6'2", and he's honestly 6 foot? So that inch is gone. I'd also like to know the measurements of their arms. Because as a standard man, if his arms should be longer, just in general, genetics make that possible. It's not universally true. But men's arms are generally longer than women's, then maybe that height difference doesn't mean as much just simply because he has a longer reach.
Yeah, and that could be. Usually your arm span is about the same as your height, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, the internet says she's 6'3".
Okay. We have somebody who played college ball weighing in on this. Are you ready?
Okay.
Representative Barb Ehart has sent us a text. She said he'd win for lots of reasons. Against Caitlin, however, I believe Clark wins. 3-on-3, 1-on-1, completely different games than 5-on-5. Reese's rebounds is, as said, her rebounding her own shot and positioning. In 1-on-1, there is 0 positioning, and the height difference won't mean much in 1-on-1.
That's true. Yeah, because he'll be faster and can get around her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It says her that her wingspan is 6'7". So she's got very long
arms then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
But is that stat padded as well? Like who's actually measured that?
It could be. It could be. Yeah. Okay. I will defer to Barb's opinion here.
Yeah, Barb's going to know way more than we do.
Been in that world a lot, both as a player and a coach. So
maybe that if Barb's spot on here, that means her lack of, meaning that Angel Reese's lack of response is probably out of fear more than anything.
Yeah, it may be. And look, Clay Travis knows sports well enough too that he knows if he can beat her or not. So
yeah,
you're probably right. He'd probably win it. Is our text line blowing up?
I know. I was busy reading Barb's text.
Yeah. Someone said this is a no-win for her. I'm not a fan of hers, but would advise her to stay way clear. I thought about that too. There really isn't. If she beats him, if she loses to him, it's just embarrassing. If she beats him, she beat a boomer guy that's 3 inches shorter than she is. You know, so there really probably is not a good win here for her.
Yeah, there probably isn't. She also has lost the PR battle. in general has lost the PR battle. She does have a set of fans. But if you're not completely engaged in black women dominating the WNBA, you're probably not in her fan base.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a fan base of Caitlin Clark's too, and they're mortal enemies at this point.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this rehabs her image at all, whether she wins or loses. And when you need to do a little bit of image rehabbing so that you can get more brand deals, this might not be a good choice.
Yeah, it may not be. It feels like maybe it's a bit more of a stunt for Clay Travis than it is an opportunity for her. So, yeah. And kudos. I mean, more power to him if he wants to do that.
Sure. It's his money.
9:41 News Talk 1079. Quick break. We'll come back after this.
I do not know why I'm blanking right now. In the Neal Larson show, so the 9 o'clock hour, I've got to fire it off of wide orbit for it to move on.
Okay, so yes, but all you have to do is press the arrow for the departer.
Yes.
Yeah, but yes, it doesn't. The one that does fire automatically is 5850.
Yes,
that one
that's
will
the
go
one.
on its own. But all the rest of them, you manually have to press
That's what I was doing in my brain, but I'm like...
the green arrow.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Let's see if anything new has popped over the last little bit. Nothing to see there.
Supreme Court rejects case of student punished for only two genders shirts. So they're not going to hear that.
They're not even
case.
going to hear it.
Yeah.
You know what I wish? Coming at it from a true crime podcast lens, the fact that there are not cameras in the courtroom on the Diddy trial is harming the potential that things are going to be given the light that they need to be given.
Yeah. Could having them compromise the trial, though?
You don't have to have the camera trained on the witness.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the Idaho 4, Brian Koberger, the ruling the judge has made there is that the cameras will be on at all times except when Bethany and Dylan, those are the two surviving roommates from the house, are on the stand.
Okay.
And he is offering that protection to them.
Okay.
So that will be the only time the cameras are turned off. And of course, when exhibits are placed and they have like their pictures of the bodies or whatever, that is never on camera. Only the jury sees that.
Okay.
I wonder if it's going to be in the same courtroom that we sat in. It's got to be. That's the largest one. Wouldn't you think it'll be in the same one as Lori's?
Probably is. Yeah. Yeah.
And I wonder if they'll offer that additional viewing area like they did when we went.
I would imagine they would. I mean, that's like it'll probably be kind of a circus, kind of like when we went over for Lori's trial, I sat in on the first half of the day and then we traded places, but somehow I got back in, didn't I?
You did. You cheated.
Yeah.
Yes. You took somebody's little thing.
No, I didn't. I actually
Didn't
was
somebody
up there,
offer it to us?
and the guy there, he just kind of waved it. I didn't have
that's
the
right.
ticket.
You just walked past with me.
He just saw that I had been in there prior to that, so.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You just walked with me.
It wasn't like I was going to take anyone's seat.
Oh, no, there
because
were empty seats.
There were empty seats,
Yeah.
and there were a few people downstairs, but.
Yeah, and there were people who had tickets to get in, but because of what the testimony was, they actually chose to sit down in the far more comfortable area.
Yeah. Yep. Which in some ways would be kind of nice because you could get up and move around if you wanted. But once you were in that courtroom, you were kind of expected to
lock down,
be there and don't move. But I will say at first it was pretty surreal to sit there because the seat we had a ticket for, Lori was maybe 12 feet away. Like
so close.
Right in front of you. So you could see her interaction with her attorneys. She was a little bit hidden behind John Thomas because he's a bigger guy. But you sat there. It was fascinating. It was a surreal experience.
Do you know what would be interesting to know is why is she all of a sudden eating again? Because when we saw her, she made me look like a thick girl.
Yeah.
She was so thin.
She looked almost anorexic. I mean, she was very, very thin.
But she's back to just looking normal now. So I don't know what of that trial made it so that she stopped eating, but of the trial she was doing on her own, she's eating.
Maybe the jail food's better in Maricopa County.
Maybe it is. Maybe there's a little more money spent on the jail food there.
Could be. Here we go. 9:47 on News Talk 107.9. Neal Larson along with Julie Mason on this Tuesday. So a bit of a breaking news story here as I hiccup. The Supreme Court has declined.
I wasn't looking at you, so I'm like, what's the pause?
What is going on with him? Is he getting all verklempt or what? So there was a court case where a student by the name of Liam Morrison wore a shirt, and Julie, are you ready for this? It's very offensive. Liam wore a shirt that said, "There are only two genders."
Mm-hmm. How dare he?
And this was a case out of Massachusetts. He was banned from school for wearing the shirt. The student brought the case through his father and stepmother, Christopher and Susan Morrison. The plaintiffs argue Nichols Middle School violated his free speech rights when it banned him from wearing two T-shirts to school with the words, "There are only two genders." And then he got a follow-up shirt after it was banned. He said, "There are," and then in brackets, "censored genders." On the front. Liam was sent home both times after he refused to change shirts. The school argued the shirts made his classmates feel unsafe. And a federal court agreed, saying the message was demeaning for transgender students. Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito both issued separate dissents, arguing the court should have taken up the case. The decision comes nearly a year after the First Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against Liam and his parents in June of 2024, finding that the school was justified in asking him to remove the shirt and sending him home when he refused. So.
Wow. Do you ever read these stories, or we talk about these stories, and you have that overwhelming gratitude that you live in Idaho and not in Massachusetts?
Yes. Yeah, very much so. Like I talk to friends who they've lived in some of these blue states, and they're like, it's nuts. It's Well, we have callers that call in that have moved here from Washington or California, and they're like, we are so happy we're here. And just the culture that's there, the thought policing, the speech policing that goes on. And so, yeah, I am glad I'm here.
I don't feel like I'm unsafe based upon people saying things. I don't feel like I'm unsafe that James Comey posted a picture of 8647. Is it an unsafe message? Absolutely. And should he be checked out by the Secret Service? 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not unsafe because there's an idiot out there named James Comey.
Well, can we go back to this particular story? They say unsafe. What makes it unsafe if somebody just says there are only two genders?
I have a different opinion than you.
Why are you not safe? Now, you might be offended, or you might find that you disagree with that sentiment, or you might even feel disrespected. I can understand that, but you're not unsafe.
There's not a threat.
Yeah, so what was, I can't even remember what the first word was. Somebody will know this. They'll text it in. Blank is violence, and something that is not violent at all. They say is violent. And what is the context here? And it was just a matter of them, they were offended by it, or they didn't like it, or they disagreed with it. And then they equated that to violence. I feel like this is the same way. A shirt makes no one unsafe. I'm sorry, but a shirt, sometimes I'll walk through the mall and I saw a big shirt. It had the biggest text you could possibly put on a shirt, and it said, F you, but it was all spelled out. Big, bold. Did I find it? Yeah, I don't like that language. I'm not a fan of that. I wouldn't regulate that person, though. I mean, that's sort of the cost of the First Amendment, is you're going to see speech you disagree with. Never felt unsafe.
Well, doesn't it also go against this mantra of education that we're supposed to be enlightening minds and letting people express themselves in public education? They should be able to read whatever book they want to read. They should be able to have spelling words that have sexual connotations. They should be able to speak with like school counselors without parents knowing. There's supposed to be this broad, open approach to public education if you're on the left, except this. You can't wear a shirt.
Yeah, apparently you can't, because it offends one of their preferred demographics. And so that's kind of a shame that the Supreme Court didn't take it up, but the Supreme Court can't take up everything. So maybe they just said,
And I promise they're tired. I promise they're rolling their eyes at some of these cases that are coming forward.
They probably are. And you know what? Maybe there's another case in the pipeline that will speak to the issue more broadly and take up the principles in this case too. So
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, I wonder whatever happened to the kid. They were represented by the Alliance Defending Freedom and the Massachusetts Family Institute. And he had said, I'm just voicing my opinion about a statement that I believe to be true. And I feel like some people may think that I'm imposing hate speech, even though it's not directed towards anyone.
Why is it hateful if you just get to have a belief that's different than them?
Yeah.
That's not hate speech.
No. Julie, what you and I share an aversion to the phrase, be kind, because you're ordering someone to do something. And ordering someone to do something is not kind. Like it's an instant violation of its own directive.
And it has a connotation that you're not.
You're not.
So change.
Yes, exactly. It starts with this assumption that you're not kind. Could I say, well, that makes me feel unsafe.
That's not hate speech. It's just annoying.
I don't want to be ordered around that I need to be something. No, you can wear your stupid be kind shirt. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's counterproductive. But I would never say you can't wear it. Mm-hmm. It's your shirt.
You can do what you want.
Your body, whatever. So
if you want to act like a know-it-all, go right ahead.
Yeah.
It doesn't play well at parties, but good for you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy that this kind of thing happens.
Busy street near the Beatles statue.
America.
And I had a
Fox
tab
News.
playing. Come
Fox
on,
News.
Fox. They get me every time.
It is the worst violator of that.
They really are. Now, that ought to be speech that is banned.
Yes.
Automatically,
Yeah,
pop-ups.
if you have a Fox News tab open and they start a video, you are going to get the audio. No doubt.
Totally ruined that Pelly in America.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. We'll be back. It's 9:54. Okay, Facebook Live. I do have to tell you, well, you know what? If Julie wants to stick around, she can. But I have to get out of here as soon as I can.
He's
after the
got
show's
to
over.
go do a wedding, and he's got a 4-hour drive at a minimum.
Yeah, and the wedding
That is if you get good traffic.
4:30 in Provo. So we have to be out of town by 11, no later. So I got to run home, change clothes, grab clothes, and I think we're just going to change somewhere down there. I don't.
Oh, absolutely! Don't wear your suit.
Yeah, I don't want to wear Sunday clothes on Tuesday.
No, don't wear your suit. Provo City Center Temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, just pull off right at that exit and jump into a gas station, change your clothes, and go.
Yeah, we'll run into a Maverick that way. Okay, so let's do our town and country.
Okay. Glade's asking us if does anything scare us anymore about being on air?
Not really. Like, here's what I'll phrase it like this. I think in the thick of the cancel culture wave that we went through that lasted, I would say, about 3 to 4 years, I felt comfortable saying about 60% of what was truly on my mind.
Yep.
Now, I probably feel comfortable saying about 90% of what's on my mind.
I filter far less now.
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff on the margins that I'm like, this is how I really feel, but I can say it a different way and not trigger the crazies on the fringe. So it's still there, but the margins are wider. That's how I'd phrase it.
Yes, I would agree with that. Scare me about being on air, like sitting down in this chair every day, there's no nerves. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I will be nervous sitting on the other side while you're gone, not because of what's going to come out of my mouth, just simply so that I can make all the technical function exactly right. There's a lot of moving parts as things are going on.
Yeah.
And when you don't do it every day, you've got to really think about those moving parts. So that makes me nervous. But what comes out of my mouth? No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I don't have that worry as much. I will tell you the day that I did worry the most, my entire career, was when all the social medias in unison were purging conservatives from their platforms. That's when I thought this could be
This
the beginning
gig
of the
could
end.
be over. Mm-hmm.
9:57 on News Talk 1079. Swing by Town and Country Gardens in addition to the 4-Step Lawn program, which by now I think most people are realize that's the program that's going to make my lawn beautiful, lush, and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You can get everything you need for your garden, for other needs for your lawn, flowers and shrubs and trees, all of it you'll find at Town and Country Gardens.
Yes, and it's a beautiful visit. So if you need a little bit of zen in your life, it's a great place to go. Don't just stay in like the front area. You need to walk all the way through Town and Country Gardens. They have beautiful areas in the back where all the trees are at. There's walking paths. It's really a great visit. The greenhouses smell so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Neal said, get everything you need to beautify your lawn and garden.
Spend a little time there. Go walk around the pathways. Go into the rose area. Like it just is a relaxing place to be. Town and Country Gardens, south of Idaho Falls, on the Yellowstone Highway, across from the Budweiser plant. All right, Julie, you are on your own tomorrow morning.
It'll be great. Well, you're going to be here for the 8 o'clock hour.
Yes, I will check in for the 8 o'clock hour, and I'll be back on Thursday morning. So, all right, everyone, see you tomorrow.